You got your driver's license. You bought a car. You know the rules. Red means stop. Green means go. Don't text and drive. You think you're all set, right? Wrong. Hidden beneath the surface of normal traffic laws is a bizarre underworld of regulations so absurd, so mind-bendingly stupid, that they'll make you question whether lawmakers have ever actually driven a car. We're talking about laws about what you can eat, what you can wear, who you can carry, and even what color your vehicle can be on certain days. This isn't your typical "don't speed" advice. This is a worldwide tour of automotive insanity that will completely change how you think about getting behind the wheel. Buckle up. This is going to be wild. 1. Let's kick things off in Alaska, where it's illegal to tie your dog to the roof of your car. Now, you'd think this falls under common sense and animal cruelty, but the fact that Alaska felt the need to make this a specific traffic law means someone, somewhere, thought this was acceptable transportation for their pet. The mental image alone is disturbing. 2. In China's major cities, getting a license plate isn't about paperwork. It's about winning the lottery. Shanghai, Beijing, and other megacities have license plate lottery systems because demand is so insane. You can buy your dream car tomorrow, but you might wait years for permission to actually drive it. Imagine having a Ferrari sitting in your garage that you legally can't use. How frustrated would you be? 3. Here's one from South Africa that's oddly considerate. When you stop at a red light, you're not legally required to stay stopped if it's between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. in certain high-crime areas. If you feel unsafe, you can treat the red light as a stop sign and proceed. It's the only place where running a red light is actually legal. Safety trumps traffic rules. 4. In Thailand's capital Bangkok, driving shirtless is illegal. The law is designed to maintain public decency, but in a city where temperatures regularly hit 95 degrees, with crushing humidity, this law is basically torture. You're slowly cooking in your car because the government demands you stay fully clothed. Air conditioning becomes less luxury, more survival equipment. 5. Let's visit Moscow, where dirty cars aren't just frowned upon, they're illegal. But here's the twist. The definition of dirty is completely subjective and up to the police officer who stops you. There's no official dirt percentage chart. Your car could be charmingly dusty or criminally filthy, depending on who's judging. It's an automotive law meets beauty pageant sex. In Oregon and New Jersey, pumping your own gas is a crime. These are the only 2 U.S. states where full service is mandatory by law. For locals, having someone pump your gas is just normal life. For visitors, it's a bizarre ritual that feels like time travel to the 1950s. The stated reason? Job creation and safety. The real effect? Confused tourists and slower gas stations. 7. Here's a weird one from the Philippines. Manila's number coding scheme bans your car from roads on specific days based on your plate's last digit. But the truly stupid part? The wealthy just buy multiple cars with different plate endings. The law meant to reduce traffic only works on the middle class. The rich drive unaffected every single day. 8. In Denmark, you're legally required to check under your car for sleeping children before you start the engine. We need to talk about this. Is Denmark experiencing an epidemic of children using cars as napping spots? Is this a real problem or legislative paranoia? The law also requires checking for cats and other animals, but the sleeping children specification is what makes it legendary. 9. Let's head to Germany's Autobahn, that beautiful stretch of road with no speed limits in many sections. You can legally drive on no 200 mph, but running out of gas? Criminal offense. It's considered avoidable obstruction, so you can pilot your BMW like a fighter jet. But if you miscalculate your fuel tank, you're the lawbreaker. The irony is absolutely perfect. 10. In the UK, splashing pedestrians with puddle water can get you fined up to $5,000. Yes, £5,000 for hitting someone with dirty water. It falls under driving without reasonable consideration for other road users. That classic movie scene of a bus soaking someone on the sidewalk? That's a month's salary in fines in Britain. Do you think this is fair or excessive? 11. South Korea has turned traffic enforcement into a crowdsourced bounty system. Download an app, records traffic violations, submit the evidence, and if it leads to a fine, you get a cash reward. Every driver with a dashcam is now a potential informant. It either improves safety or creates a society of snitches. What's your take? 12. In Spain, drivers who wear prescription glasses must carry a spare pair in the vehicle at all times. Sounds reasonable until you think about enforcement. How does an officer know you need glasses? Do they check your prescription? What if it's expired? And realistically, how many Spanish glove compartments contain forgotten, outdated glasses that haven't been touched in years? Let's talk about Cyprus, where eating or drinking anything while driving is completely illegal. Not just alcohol, not just messy food, anything. A sip of water on a hot Mediterranean afternoon. Illegal. A piece of candy? Contraband. This law turns every drive into a game of how dehydrated can I get before I arrive. 14. In several U.S. states, including Minnesota, Georgia, and California, hanging anything from your rearview mirror is illegal. Those fuzzy dice? Illegal. That air freshener? Contraband. Your graduation tassel? You're a criminal. The law exists because it obstructs driver view, but it transforms innocent decorations into finable offenses. 15. Here's one from Japan that's wonderfully polite. Splashing a pedestrian with puddle water isn't just rude. It's a punishable offense with actual fines. It reflects a culture where causing even minor inconvenience to strangers is taken seriously. Most countries consider this unfortunate bad luck. Japan considers it a legal issue. Is this brilliant or too much? 16. In France, drivers were required to carry personal breathalyzer kits in their cars. It was mandatory equipment like a spare tire. But here's the magnificent part. They eventually removed the penalty for not having one. So now it's technically required but has zero enforcement. It's a zombie law. Dead, but still on the books. 17. Let's visit Finland, where traffic fines are proportional to your income. A millionaire caught speeding can face fines over $100,000. In 2015, a businessman was fined $58,000 for going 15 mph over the limit. Justice is literally calculated by your tax return. The richer you are, the more it hurts. Fair system or wealth punishment? 18. In Alabama, it's explicitly illegal to drive while blindfolded. The specificity is what's hilarious. Not drive with impaired vision, specifically blindfolded. This means enough people tried it that lawmakers had to make it official. For every bizarre law, there's an even more bizarre story behind it. 19. Switzerland has a Sunday car washing ban. Not because of water conservation, because of noise. The Swiss value their day of rest so intensely that even the sound of a sponge on metal is unacceptable. Your car can be covered in mud, looking like it survived an apocalypse. But your Sunday must be silent. 20. In Glendale, California, it's illegal to jump from a car traveling at exactly 65 mph. Not 60, not 70, specifically 65 mph. This precision suggests a city council sat down and seriously debated the exact speed at which vehicle jumping transitions from bad idea to criminal act. The mental image of that meeting is incredible. 21. Here's a Minnesota law that's beautifully specific. In Minnetonka, it's illegal for vehicles to deposit mud, dirt, or sticky substances on public roads. Having dirty tires is a finable offense. Every puddle becomes a potential crime scene. Every car wash becomes a legal compliance center. The town is so pristine that even tire treads are held to impossible standards. 22. Let's head to Singapore, where your car cannot idle for more than a minute. In a tropical country where your vehicle becomes an oven in about 90 seconds, this law forces an impossible choice: environmental responsibility or slowly melting in your own seat. You're picking between saving the planet and not dying from heat stroke. 23. In the United Kingdom, it's illegal to park on the right side of the road at night. The logic is actually solid. Your reflectors won't be visible to oncoming traffic. But for international visitors, this rule is completely mind-bending. You find the perfect spot, pull in, and congratulations, you're a criminal because of which direction you're facing. 24. Here's one from Russia that combines safety with absurdity. Driving in flip-flops or high heels is illegal in several regions. The reasoning is that improper footwear can slip off the pedals. Fair enough, but the mental image of a police officer inspecting your shoes during a traffic stop in Costa Rica. Until recently, you could legally drink alcohol while driving as long as your blood alcohol level stayed stayed under the legal limit. You could cruise with a beer in your hand, and the act of drinking wasn't the crime, being drunk was. This terrifying loophole has since been closed, thankfully. 26. Let's visit Sweden, where headlights must be on 24/7, 365 days a year. In the dark Scandinavian winter, this makes sense. But driving through brilliant sunshine in midsummer with your lights blazing feels ridiculous. It's so ingrained in Swedish culture that drivers don't even think about it anymore. 27. In South Dakota, you can get a restricted driver's license at age 14. 14, an age when most people are dealing with middle school drama, not four-way intersections. It's a stark reminder that old enough to drive varies wildly. In a state with vast distances and tiny populations, necessity rewrites the rules. 28. Here's one from San Francisco that should never need to exist, but clearly does. It's illegal to wipe down or dry your car with used underwear. Read that again. Used underwear. There is a story here. A story of poor choices, questionable hygiene, and a city official who witnessed something so wrong they immortalized it in law forever. 29. In certain parts of Australia, specifically New South Wales, there's a weird legal hierarchy. It's illegal to splash mud or water on a bus passenger, but the law specifically protects only people waiting for, boarding or exiting buses. Regular pedestrians? Apparently fair game. What makes bus passengers legally special? Drop your theory in the comments. 30. Let's talk about Nevada, where it's illegal to ride a camel on the highway. This speaks to the state's Wild West history when the line between livestock and transportation got blurry. Someone saw the potential for camel-based traffic jams on I-15 and made it official. Camels are not highway legal vehicles. 31. In Little Rock, Arkansas, honking your horn after 9 p.m. is illegal, but only at places serving cold drinks or sandwiches. Not restaurants generally, not bars. Specifically establishments serving cold drinks or sandwiches. Someone had beef with a specific deli, and they got revenge through legislation. 32. Here's one from Estonia that most drivers have never considered. You're required to carry wheel chocks in your vehicle, those wedges you put behind tires to prevent rolling. For passenger cars, you need 2. It's practical safety taken to an extreme most of the world hasn't even thought about. 33. In several Australian states, leaving your car unlocked with keys in the ignition is illegal if you're more than 3 meters away. If your car gets stolen under these conditions, you can be charged with facilitating theft. The thief is obviously criminal, but you're also legally at fault for making crime too easy. 34. Let's visit Italy, where dogs must be properly restrained in vehicles with special harnesses, crates, or barriers. That happy dog with its head out the window? Illegal and finable. Dogs aren't passengers. They're cargo requiring safety equipment. It's a complete cultural shift in how we view pets in cars. 35. In Darby, Kansas, screeching your tires is illegal. Not reckless driving, not speeding. Specifically, the act of making your tires squeal. It's about noise pollution and showing off. Every Hollywood car chase would rack up dozens of violations before the first turn. It's a legislated no-fun zone for your accelerator. 36. Here's one from Pennsylvania's history that's absolutely insane. A 1909 law required drivers who encountered spooked horses to pull over and, if necessary, disassemble their automobile and hide the parts in bushes. You were expected to take your car apart on the roadside to calm a nervous horse. It was unconditional surrender to the equestrian lobby. 37. In Rockville, Maryland, swearing or using obscene language from a motor vehicle is a misdemeanor. Road rage isn't just rude, it's criminal. Getting cut off and yelling something regrettable? You're now a lawbreaker. The city has created a mandatory G-rated driving environment where the most aggressive thing you can shout is, "Let's head to Belgium," where you're required to carry a fire extinguisher in your car. Not recommended, required. If you don't have one during a traffic stop, you can be fined. It's safety preparedness taken to a level most countries consider optional. How many Belgian cars have extinguishers that owners don't even know how to use? 39. In Youngstown, Ohio, running out of gas is a misdemeanor. Not a major crime, but you're still legally a wrongdoer. The logic is that it's preventable and creates hazards. But it feels like kicking someone when they're down. You're already stranded and frustrated. Now you're also a criminal. 40. Here's one from the UK that's technically illegal, but widely believed to be legal. There's a persistent myth that men can legally urinate on the rear wheel of their vehicle while keeping one hand on the car. This is completely false, but it's so widely believed it's become legal folklore. Why do myths like this spread? What do you think? 41. In Manila, Philippines, the number coding scheme has created a strange reality. Wealthy people own multiple cars with different plate endings to bypass driving bans. The law designed to reduce traffic only affects those who can't afford to game the system. It's regulation that the rich can literally buy their way around. 42. Let's visit Greece, where being in any traffic accident, even a minor fender bender, requires you to stay at the scene until police arrive. No matter how long it takes, moving your car, even to clear traffic, can be considered fleeing. In Athens' legendary traffic, 2 slightly dented bumpers can create jams lasting hours. 43. In Montana, it's illegal to have a sheep in your truck cab without a chaperone. Not a dog, not a goat, specifically a sheep. And it needs supervision. What constitutes a proper sheep chaperone? Can another sheep qualify? The questions this law creates are endless and hilarious. 44. Here's one from the UK that affects millions of modern drivers. Paying for drive-thru food with your phone while the engine runs technically violates laws against using handheld devices while driving. That contactless payment for your coffee? Potentially illegal. It's 21st century technology colliding with 20th century lawmaking. 45. In Belarus, driving a dirty car can result in fines, but there's no official standard for dirty. It's completely at the officer's discretion. Is your car rustic and charming or criminally filthy? A stranger with a ticket book decides. No dirt meter, no official chart, just vibes and fines. 46. Let's talk about luxury car restrictions in North Korea. Private car ownership is extremely rare and heavily restricted. Most citizens will never own a vehicle in their lifetime. The few private cars that exist belong to the elite. Your right to drive isn't about passing a test. It's about political status. 47. In Iceland, studded winter tires aren't just recommended. They're effectively mandatory during winter months. The country takes driving safety so seriously that your tire choice is legally regulated. Combined with 24/7 headlight requirements, Icelandic vehicles are scrutinized before you even start the engine. 48. Here's one from Florida that's perfectly on brand for the state. It's illegal to tie an elephant, alligator, or goat to a parking meter without paying the fee. The law doesn't ban parking your elephant on Main Street. It just ensures the city gets its quarter. Whether that elephant paid is the civic concern, not why there's an elephant. 49. In Oklahoma, it's illegal to read a comic book while driving. Not a novel, not a newspaper, specifically comic books. The precision means there's a fantastic origin story involving a driver and a comic, so captivating it required legislative intervention. What comic was worth this law? 50. Let's visit Norway, where if your headlight burns out during a trip, you must stop driving immediately. You can't carefully drive to the nearest mechanic. The moment that bulb dies, you're legally required to stop. In the middle of nowhere in winter, this can turn a minor problem into a survival situation. 51. In certain U.S. states, specifically Illinois, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, car dealerships cannot be open on Sundays. These blue laws mean your only day off might be the only day you can't buy a car. In an age where you can order anything at 3 a.m. on your phone, you're banned from buying a Ford because of centuries-old religious tradition. 52. Here's one from Turkey that seems designed to create maximum traffic chaos. In accidents, both parties must exchange information, but cannot move their vehicles until police document the scene, even for minor bumps. In Istanbul's traffic, this means 2 scratched bumpers can shut down entire streets. In the UK, it's illegal for taxi drivers to transport rabid dogs. Not all rabid animals, specifically rabid dogs. Why not rabid cats? Rabid badgers? The laser-like specificity suggests a very particular, very traumatic incident that prompted this legislation. The story is probably the stuff of nightmares. 54. Let's talk about Denver, Colorado, where an archaic blue law technically makes it illegal to drive a black car on Sundays. It's no longer enforced, but it's still on the books. Imagine explaining to the rental agency why you can't take their only available car because its color violates a century-old ordinance. How many absurd laws are still technically active? We've navigated 54 different different flavors of automotive insanity, and only one remains. But before our grand finale, it's verdict time. In our opinion, the crown for the absolute dumbest car law on this entire list goes to Pennsylvania's 1909 requirement to disassemble your car and hide it in bushes for spooked horses. It's the only law that expected every driver to be a master mechanic with a full toolkit just to survive encounters with nervous livestock. It's peak legislative absurdity. Do you agree, or did another law deserve the crown? Let us know in the comments. And now, for our final law, 55. Let's end with one that perfectly captures legislative specificity gone wild. In Marietta, Georgia, it's illegal to spit from a car or bus. Gross habit, sure. But here's where it becomes art. The law explicitly allows spitting from a truck. This creates a bizarre vehicular class system where pickup truck drivers have a freedom completely denied to sedan owners and bus passengers. Your right to expectorate depends entirely on your vehicle type. Why? What's the logic? Why do trucks get special spitting privileges? It's the ultimate example of a law so weirdly specific and utterly nonsensical that it transcends stupidity and becomes comedy.